We all have people in our lives, friends, co-workers, even family, who we think will be with us forever. They laugh with us, share our dreams, and promise to stay by our side. But then one day they leave. They stop calling, stop supporting, and even turn against us. And we wonder, what did I do wrong? Let me tell you something today. No one is your friend forever. People come and go, and that's okay. Some are only meant to be in your life for a season. They were there to teach you, help you grow, or push you toward your destiny. But when their role is complete, they move on. Don't chase people who are meant to leave. Maybe you've been betrayed by someone you trusted. You thought they had your back, but they stabbed you in it instead. Don't let bitterness take root. Even Jesus was betrayed by someone in his inner circle. If he faced it, we will too. But here's the good news. Betrayal doesn't define you, it refines you. See, people may leave, but God never does. He is the one friend who stays with you in the storm, in the valley, in the lonely nights when no one else is there. His love is unshakable and his presence is constant. When others walk away, he steps in closer. So stop trying to win people's approval. You don't need validation from those who don't see your worth. If they walked away, they weren't meant to be part of your next chapter. Their rejection is just redirection. God is removing the wrong people to make space for the right ones. Don't be discouraged if people leave. Stand strong in your purpose. Walk boldly in your calling. You are never alone. The right people will come at the right time. And until they do, remember, you already have the best friend you'll ever need. Now go forward with confidence, knowing that no one is your friend forever, but the one who matters most will never leave your side. There are people in your life right now who are only meant to be there for a season. They are not meant to walk with you forever. They are not meant to be part of your entire journey. They came into your life for a purpose, to play a role, to teach you something, or to help you through a certain stage. But when their role is complete, they will leave. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. We naturally want people to stay. We want friendships to last. We believe that if someone is close to us today, they will always be close. But the reality is, people change. Circumstances change and relationships evolve. Someone who was once your closest friend may drift away. Someone who supported you may one day turn their back. Someone who once walked with you in agreement may start walking in a different direction. The problem is we often don't recognize when a season has ended. Instead of letting people go, we hold on. Instead of embracing change, we resist it. Instead of accepting that someone's time in our life is over, we try to force them to stay. Think about a tree. Every year the seasons change. In the spring, the leaves begin to grow. In the summer, the tree is full and vibrant. But when fall comes, the leaves begin to change color, and eventually they fall to the ground. By winter, the tree looks bare, lifeless. But the tree is not dead. It's simply in a different season. In the same way, there are people who come into your life in your spring season. They help you grow. They bring joy and excitement. They make you feel alive. Then there are people who are part of your summer season. They walk with you in stability. They seem like they will always be there. But then comes the fall. The changes begin, the distance grows, the conversations become less frequent, and before you know it, they have drifted away. You wonder what happened. You try to figure out why things changed, but just like the tree in the fall, it's not that something went wrong. It's simply the end of the season. Some friendships are not meant to last forever. Some people are only sent to walk with you for a certain distance, and when their time is up, no matter how much you try to hold on, they will leave. This is why you have to recognize when a season is over. Holding on to people who are meant to go will only cause you pain. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to keep someone in their life who is already emotionally and mentally checked out. They chase after people who have already walked away. They try to rebuild friendships that were only meant to last for a short time. They spend so much energy holding on that they don't realize God is trying to bring them into a new season. Sometimes you don't even realize that certain people are a hindrance to your growth. You don't recognize that their presence in your life is actually keeping you from stepping into something better. So when they leave, you feel hurt, but what you don't see is that their departure was necessary. God knows what He's doing. He knows who is supposed to be in your life and for how long. If someone is meant to stay, nothing will take them away. But if someone is meant to leave, no amount of effort will make them stay. You have to trust that every person who exits your life is doing so according to a divine plan. Their leaving is not a mistake. It's not something to fight against. It's something to accept. This is why you must be careful about who you try to hold on to. Some of the people you were crying over were never meant to stay. Some of the friendships you were grieving were never designed to last forever. Some of the relationships you were chasing after were only meant to be temporary. Instead of holding on, learn to let go. Instead of resisting change, learn to embrace it. Instead of mourning over who left, be grateful for the role they played while they were there. When you stop forcing people to stay, you free yourself to receive the ones who are meant to come. When you stop holding on to the past, you make space for the future. When you stop grieving over lost relationships, people are like chapters in a book. Some will appear in the first few pages and disappear before the story truly begins. Others will stay for several chapters, helping to shape your journey. And a very few will remain until the very end. But every chapter is necessary. Every person who comes into your life serves a purpose. Some will be there to teach you, some will be there to support you, and some will be there to test you. But no matter what role they play, understand this: not everyone is meant to stay until the last page of your story. If someone has walked away, it's because their chapter is over. If someone has distanced themselves, it's because their season has ended. If someone has been removed from your life, it's because they were not part of your next level. You don't have to fight to keep people who are meant to leave. You don't have to convince someone to stay in your life when their role is done. When a season ends, let it end. When a person's time is up, let them go. Just as the tree does not cry when the leaves fall, you should not cry over people who have served their purpose. Just as winter makes room for spring, every ending is making space for a new beginning. If you trust the process, you will see that every person who leaves is only making way for something greater. Betrayal is one of the deepest wounds a person can experience. It doesn't come from strangers or enemies. It comes from the people closest to you, the ones you trust, the ones you confide in, the ones you believe would never turn against you. That's why it hurts so much. If someone you barely knew walked away, it wouldn't sting. If someone who never cared about you turned their back, it wouldn't affect you. But when it's someone you loved, someone you poured into, someone you sacrificed for, that's when the pain cuts deep. It's inevitable that at some point in life you will experience betrayal. No matter how kind you are, no matter how much you give, no matter how loyal you remain, there will be people who will betray your trust. You can be good to them and they will still lie on you. You can support them and they will still walk away. You can love them and they will still turn against you. And when it happens, the first thing you ask yourself is, why? You replay every moment, trying to figure out what went wrong. You start questioning yourself, thinking, was I not good enough? Did I do something to deserve this? You go over every conversation, every interaction, wondering what changed. But the truth is, betrayal is never about you. It's about them. People betray for different reasons. Some betray because of jealousy. They see you growing, they see you succeeding, and instead of celebrating you, they turn on you. They pretend to be happy for you, but deep down they resent your progress. Some betray because of insecurity. They don't feel good about themselves, so they try to tear you down to feel better. Some betray because of selfishness. They were only with you for what they could get, and the moment they no longer benefited from you, they walked away. The hardest part of betrayal is that it never comes from enemies. It comes from those you trusted the most. A friend who shared your secrets only to use them against you. A family member who was supposed to protect you, but instead hurt you. A partner who promised to stand by you, but abandoned you in your weakest moment. Even Jesus, who walked in love and compassion, was betrayed. He had 12 disciples, 12 men who walked with him, ate with him, and saw his miracles firsthand. Yet one of them, Judas, betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. Think about that, 30 pieces of silver. That's all it took for someone so close to Jesus to sell him out. If even Jesus had to face betrayal, what makes you think you won't? If he, who was perfect, had people turn on him, don't be surprised when it happens to you. That's why you can't let betrayal break you. You can't let it make you bitter. You can't let it stop you from trusting people. One of the biggest mistakes you can make after betrayal is shutting everyone out. You think, I'll never trust again. I'll never let anyone close to me. You start believing that everyone has bad intentions, that no one is truly loyal. But don't let one person's disloyalty ruin your ability to love and trust. Don't let the pain of betrayal keep you from forming genuine relationships. The truth is, betrayal doesn't break you, it reveals. It shows you who people really are. It opens your eyes to see what you were blind to before. Sometimes God allows betrayal because it's the only way to expose people's true intentions. You might have thought they were for you, but they were secretly against you. You might have thought they were loyal, but they were just pretending. Betrayal hurts, but in the end, it helps. It pushes you to grow. It removes the wrong people from your life. It teaches you to trust God more than people. Because the reality is, people will fail you, but God never will. Instead of mourning over the ones who betrayed you, be thankful they were exposed. Instead of trying to win them back, let them go. Instead of letting betrayal make you bitter, let it make you wiser. You will be betrayed in life. It's inevitable. But you get to decide how you respond. You can either let it destroy you, or you can use it as fuel to rise even higher. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in life is depending on people for validation. Too often, we look to others to confirm our worth, to tell us we're good enough, to approve of our dreams and decisions. We crave their approval. We want their support. We want to hear them say, "You're doing a great job," or "I believe in you." And when we don't get that validation, we start to doubt ourselves. We begin questioning whether we're on the right path. We start feeling like we're not good enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. But the truth is, if you base your confidence on the approval of others, you will always be disappointed. People are unpredictable. One day they're cheering for you, and the next day they've forgotten about you. One day they're telling you how great you are, and the next they're questioning your choices. If you live for their applause, you will die from their rejection, because the same people who praise you today can criticize you tomorrow. The same ones who say they're proud of you can suddenly turn their backs. And if your self-worth is tied to what people think, you will always be on an emotional roller coaster. You weren't created to seek validation from others. Your value doesn't come from their opinions. It doesn't come from how many people support you, how many followers you have, how many compliments you receive. Your worth is not determined by who believes in you, but by the fact that you were created with purpose. You are enough with or without their validation. You are talented even if no one acknowledges it. You are worthy even if no one says it. One of the biggest traps in life is chasing after approval. You try to be everything to everyone. You change who you are just to fit in. You do things you don't even enjoy just to be accepted. But no matter how much you try, there will always be someone who doesn't approve. There will always be someone who doesn't like you. And if you spend your life trying to please people, you will lose yourself in the process. Some people will never validate you, no matter what you do. You could give them everything, and they still wouldn't appreciate it. You could bend over backward for them, and they still wouldn't acknowledge your efforts. Not because you're not worthy, but because some people will never be satisfied. They will always find something to criticize. They will always have something negative to say. And if you keep waiting for them to approve of you, you will waste your life trying to earn something they will never give. Stop waiting for people to clap for you. Stop looking for their recognition. Stop depending on their words to feel good about yourself. Some of the most successful people in the world were doubted. They were told they weren't good enough, that their dreams were impossible, that they would never make it. But they didn't let that stop them. They didn't need validation to move forward. They believed in themselves, even when no one else did. And because they refused to let others define their worth, they accomplished things no one thought possible. You have to get to a place where you no longer need external validation, where you wake up in the morning and say, "I am enough," whether people see it or not. I am capable, even if no one acknowledges it. I am worthy, even if no one tells me I am. Because if you continue looking to people for validation, you will always be at their mercy. When they approve, you feel good. When they don't, you feel worthless. But when you find confidence within yourself, you become unstoppable. You stop caring about who supports you and who doesn't. You stop waiting for people to validate you. You stop seeking approval from those who were never meant to see your greatness in the first place. Some of the greatest things you will ever do in life will be done without applause. You may have to take steps in silence. You may have to believe in yourself when no one else does. You may have to keep pushing forward even when no one recognizes your efforts. But don't let that discourage you. Just because people don't see your value doesn't mean you don't have it. Just because they don't acknowledge your greatness doesn't mean you're not great. You were never meant to fit into their expectations. You were never meant to live for their approval. You were never meant to depend on their validation. The moment you stop looking to people to define your worth, you take back your power. You free yourself from the need to please. You step into a confidence that cannot be shaken by opinions. Don't wait for their validation. Don't wait for them to recognize your worth. Walk boldly in your purpose, knowing that you are already enough. Because when you stop looking for their approval, you finally start living. Rejection is painful. It stings. It breaks your confidence and it makes you question your worth. Whether it's being turned down for a job, not being chosen for an opportunity, being left out by friends, or experiencing heartbreak in a relationship, rejection can make you feel like you're not good enough. It can leave you wondering what you did wrong, why you weren't accepted, and why things didn't work out the way you hoped. But what if rejection wasn't a curse? What if it was actually a blessing in disguise? What if the very thing you're crying over is actually saving you from something that wasn't meant for you? What if that closed door is protecting you from something that would have hurt you in the long run? Too often we see rejection as the end of something good. We think that because we didn't get what we wanted, we failed. But what if rejection is actually redirection? What if every no is leading you to something better? What if every time someone walks away, it's because they were never meant to be part of your journey? There are things in life that we desperately want. We pray for them. We fight for them. We do everything in our power to make them happen. And when they don't, we feel crushed. We think that because things didn't go our way, something is wrong. But sometimes the very thing we think we need is the very thing that would destroy us. Sometimes what looks like a missed opportunity is actually divine protection. Think about the times in your life when you were rejected. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, only to later realize that a better opportunity was waiting for you. Maybe a relationship ended, and at the time you were devastated. But looking back, you see that if you had stayed, you would have been miserable. Maybe a door closed and you didn't understand why, but later you realized that if it had stayed open, you would have settled for less than what you deserved. Rejection hurts in the moment, but if you trust the process, you will see that every rejection was actually making space for something greater. When someone walks away from your life, don't beg them to stay. When an opportunity slips through your fingers, don't chase after it. If something was truly meant for you, nothing could take it away. And if something leaves, it's because it was never part of your destiny. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is trying to hold on to something that has already let go of you. You waste time crying over people who have moved on. You chase after opportunities that have already passed. You sit in disappointment, replaying what went wrong, instead of recognizing that maybe, just maybe, this rejection was actually a setup for something better. Think about the people who doubted you, who rejected you, who told you no. What if their rejection wasn't meant to break you, but to push you? What if their no was exactly what you needed to go in a different direction? Some of the most successful people in the world were rejected. They were told they weren't good enough, that they didn't have what it takes, that they would never make it. But instead of letting rejection define them, they use it as fuel. You have to change the way you see rejection. Instead of seeing it as failure, see it as protection. Instead of seeing it as the end, see it as the beginning of something new. Instead of letting it break your confidence, let it build your resilience. Sometimes God allows rejection because He knows what's ahead. He sees what you can't see. He knows the hidden dangers, the toxic relationships, the wrong opportunities that would only hold you back. He knows that if He allowed you to have what you wanted, it would actually delay your destiny. So He closes the door. He removes the people. He lets things fall apart, not to hurt you, but to help you. Rejection is not the end of your story. It's simply a chapter that is leading you to something greater. You may not understand it now. You may be in pain, questioning why things happened the way they did, but one day you will look back and realize that every no was necessary. Every closed door was part of the plan. Every person who walked away was making room for someone better. So instead of fighting rejection, embrace it. Instead of mourning over what you lost, look forward to what's coming. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Start saying, I trust that something better is on the way. Because when you shift your perspective, rejection is no longer something to fear. It becomes something to be grateful for. Loneliness can feel like a heavy burden. It can make you feel isolated, forgotten, and unworthy. When you look around and see people laughing with their friends, celebrating milestones with loved ones, or sharing their lives with someone special, it's easy to wonder, why am I alone? You may ask yourself, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have the friendships or relationships that others seem to have? The silence can be deafening. The absence of companionship can make you question your worth. But what if loneliness wasn't a curse? What if it was actually an opportunity? What if this season of solitude is not about what you're missing, but about what you're gaining? We live in a world that teaches us that being alone is a problem, that if you're not constantly surrounded by people, something must be wrong with you. That if you don't have a large social circle, you're not valuable. But the truth is, loneliness is not a sign that something is missing. It's often a sign that something is being built. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in seasons of solitude. When you are alone, you are given the opportunity to grow. You get to reflect on who you really are without the influence of others shaping your thoughts and decisions. You get to heal from past wounds rather than distracting yourself with constant noise and activity. You get to dream, to focus, to develop yourself into the person you were meant to be. So many people fear being alone, so they settle. They settle for toxic relationships just to have someone there. They stay in friendships that drain them just to avoid solitude. They cling to unhealthy connections because they would rather be with the wrong people than be by themselves. But loneliness is not something to run from. It's something to embrace, because in your solitude, you will find clarity. You will find strength. You will discover things about yourself that you never knew before. Some of the greatest people in history spent time in solitude before they stepped into their purpose. Before they reached their destiny, they had seasons where they had to walk alone. Because sometimes isolation is preparation. Sometimes being alone is God's way of getting your attention. If you are always surrounded by people, always distracted by noise, you wouldn't hear what He's trying to tell you. Loneliness is an opportunity to connect with yourself in ways that are impossible when you're constantly seeking validation from others. It's an opportunity to focus on your goals, to strengthen your mind, to develop discipline. It's in the quiet moments that real breakthroughs happen. It's in the seasons of solitude that people are refined, strengthened, and prepared for greater things. If you're feeling lonely right now, don't see it as a punishment. See it as a gift. See it as time to become everything you were meant to be. See it as an opportunity to break free from distractions, to elevate your mind, to prepare yourself for the next level of your life. Because one day you will look back at this season and realize that it wasn't loneliness, it was preparation. It wasn't emptiness, it was growth. It wasn't a curse, it was an opportunity. One of the greatest struggles we face in life is waiting for the right person to come along, waiting for the right opportunity to open up, waiting for the right circumstances to fall into place. We often feel the pressure to rush, to force things, to make things happen before their time. We look around and see others seemingly moving forward, finding their people, building their connections, while we're still standing in the waiting room of life, wondering when it will be our turn. But here's the truth. The right people will come at the right time, not a moment sooner, not a moment later. Life has a way of bringing the right people into your life exactly when you need them. You don't have to chase after them. You don't have to beg for them to stay. You don't have to try to fit into their circles or force yourself into relationships that don't feel natural. When the time is right, the people who are meant to be in your life will show up, and everything will fall into place. So often we feel the need to rush the process. We try to make things work with people who aren't a good fit for us. We bend ourselves to meet the expectations of others, thinking that if we just try hard enough, we'll find our tribe. We search for people to validate us, to affirm us, to love us. But what we fail to understand is that the right people are not those who come when we're desperate for them. The right people are those who come when we're at peace with who we are, when we've done the work to love ourselves, and when we're fully walking in our purpose. The right people will always align with your values, your vision, and your energy. They will not just accept you, they will celebrate you for who you truly are. The right people will not require you to change for them. They will encourage you to grow and become the best version of yourself. The relationships you form with the right people will not be burdensome or draining. They will be uplifting and fulfilling. The people who are meant for you will add to your life, not take from it. But here's the key. You have to trust the timing. You have to believe that the right people will come into your life at the right time. When we rush, we often settle for people who don't serve us, who drain us, or who aren't aligned with our true selves. We may settle for friendships or relationships that are built on insecurity, neediness, or loneliness, but that's not what will bring us peace or fulfillment in the long run. The right people won't make you feel like you're settling. They will feel like a natural, beautiful fit in your life. Just because you don't have your tribe right now doesn't mean it will never happen. Just because you're alone doesn't mean you'll always be alone. Just because the people you've met so far haven't been the right fit doesn't mean the right ones aren't on their way. Every season of life brings its own lessons, its own growth, and its own opportunities to meet new people. Sometimes you have to go through a season of solitude, learning and growing before you're ready for the right people to enter Don't get discouraged by the weight others seem to be surrounded by people who get them. Your time will come. The right people will enter your life at the right time. And when they do, you will realize that every moment of waiting, every time you questioned why you were alone, was worth it. Trust that God knows exactly who and what you need and when you need it. When the right people come into your life, you'll know it. They will feel like home. They will make you feel seen, heard, and understood. You will feel a connection that goes beyond the surface. These people will be with you through thick and thin, lifting you up, supporting you, and challenging you to grow in ways you never thought possible. So in the meantime, don't worry about rushing the process. Don't stress over who isn't in your life right now. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, on living out your purpose, on being open to the possibilities of what lies ahead. When the time is right, the right people will come. And when they do, you'll know that they were worth the wait. In life, we all face challenges, and some of them can feel overwhelming. We experience rejection, betrayal, loneliness, and moments of doubt, but it's in those very struggles that we often find our greatest opportunities for growth and transformation. Every rejection that stings, every betrayal that cuts deep, and every season of solitude can teach us something powerful about who we are and where we are headed. You don't have to rely on others to validate your worth, and you don't have to rush the process of life. Trust that every setback, every no, every lonely moment is making space for something greater. The people who are meant to be in your life will come at the right time. And the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Don't look to others to define your value. Stand firm in the knowledge that you are enough just as you are. And when you embrace the seasons of solitude, when you stop chasing after the wrong things, and when you trust the timing of your life, you'll see that everything begins to fall into place. You are on a journey, and every twist and turn is taking you exactly where you need to go. So keep moving forward, keep trusting the process, and know that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments are already on their way to you.